Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us. My name is Abhishek. I lead the security engineering team for Checkpoint Singapore. Today, I've got this opportunity to express my viewpoint, basically how the dark web is amplifying the cybercrime, leveraging on AI, and will provide some insights into the today's security landscape as well. So let's begin. Looking at 2024, right, what we saw that ransomware as a service was the most pervasive threat. You don't need to be a hacker to hack, right? And what I want to show you is this particular screenshot. What you see, there are two threat actors. One is Logbit and the other one is Ransom Hub. So if you look at the Logbit, in May 2024, they are pretty much active. A lot of attacks came in the news, right? But after that, beyond that, there was a sharp decline, right? While it was declining, a new threat actor group called Ransom Hub was picking up. You can see that one is going down, one is coming up. This is in November 2024. This is a research that we were doing. And at the same time, what we observed in threat intelligence in Singapore, this was the case. This is December 2024. You see Ransom Hub is pretty much active in Singapore. And while we were transitioning from 2024 to 2025, what we realized, one of the Singapore construction firm was basically being compromised by Ransom Hub. Right, so you can see that how much time does it take. And one more thing I want to highlight: this is the first victim globally, and it's in Singapore. Right, so this one is a classic example of threat actor profile, how it is changing day to day. Another classic example I want to take is basically a software as a service impact. What you see over here is a software as a service called Perfect Data. It's a data recovery tool. It's a SaaS platform. So what basically happened was one of the attacker, right, it actually compromised this legit application by creating a backdoor. And this particular application, and it's a real customer case study, it was actually connecting to customers' M365 infrastructure via an API. And it's very common. You have M365 infra, everybody connects, all the SaaS platforms connect to your M365 using APIs. Very, very common. But what happened now, it has been compromised. So what is very important is the permission that this API has. And actually, this was shocking. They had this application called Perfect Data. They have the privilege, the API privilege to send the user emails, to send emails on behalf of users. So now imagine this application is compromised by an attacker. So attacker directly has complete access to your M365 infra. So all the way, if you look at organizations, the research, we have been talking about securing M365 itself, but we don't really look into the SaaS platforms that are connecting to that M365. And these SaaS platforms connect to the second SaaS platform, third SaaS platform. It basically is evolving. So this is something very important to take note. And again, just let me change the gear a little bit, right? And looking into the digital footprints. So this is how, before digital transformation, this is how our organizations look like. Pretty much flat, right? Simple, very limited attack surface. But post digital transformation, what has happened is your users, your applications, your data, your crown jewels are basically everywhere, right? And they are communicating in a mesh connected architecture. What I call this is a hyper connected world, right? And it has a much wider attack surface with many, many entry points. Whatever is good for attackers is bad for us. Life has always been very complicated, basically, when it comes to the offensive or defensive side of the cybersecurity, right? And again, what we are seeing also, a lot of white hackers, right? White hat hackers are actually transitioning to black hat hackers. This is actually happening. And the reason is basically very simple. There is a very low risk to get caught because there are so many advanced sophisticated tools, right? And they have much more bounty rewards, right? That you can get in a white hat hacker job. So this is really happening as a transition. Let me take an example. This is one of the underground forum. What you see, actually, there are lead credentials being sold for $4.99, $5. Right? So imagine anybody can go to this particular underground forum, get these leak credentials, access your customer infrastructure, exfiltrate the data, conduct double extortion, triple extortion, so-called ransomware, to get a bigger pie of the money. So use $5 to get many, many dollars. Right? So this is what basically is happening. And one more thing I want to share with you today about Logbit, how creative they are. Let me show it to you. So this is the stats. I think apart from this are the stats that is a number, right? These many victims and stuff like that. But what is important that I want to show you, right? Logbit is basically operating like a corporate organization, right? Running rewards and recruiting programs. So what you see, for example, right? There is basically, they reward $1,000 to whoever basically wear their badge in the form of a tattoo. right? So every time you make a tattoo of Logbit, you get $1,000. So this is how they were promoting their campaigns. And they went a little bit step further, right? They've actually launched a big bounty program. They say that whoever actually hack me, I will give you 50K. And actually one organization really hacked them. And it was called Logbit 3.0 afterwards. So you would have heard about 2.0, 3.0. So this was the journey of how Logbit 3.0 was evolved. They hacked the previous Logbit as part of the big bounty program, right? So you can see that the things are changing, right? And it will continue to evolve as we move. Now I want to see, because it's afternoon, right? And I want to see how alert you are, attentive you are. And I'll play a simple game. So this is a phishing distributed kit, right? It's a malicious phishing page of Microsoft sign-in. I just want to ask you, can you spot what is wrong in this? Anybody? No. It's nothing to do with the font size. Yeah. Anyone? Yeah, closer, closer. Yes. Yes, yes. Hmm? No, no. Okay, maybe I can just answer. So if you look at keep me signed in, it's actually keep me signed in. So there's a ED missing from this one. But usually when you look at first attempt, you won't be able to make it out. So that's something is important. And again, with AI coming in, right, the grammatical mistakes are also going away. So you can see that the phishing emails will become very, very smarter, right, and very, very complex. Okay, I'm not gonna. I know that everybody is familiar with GPT tools, right? Warm GPT, Darkbird, Fraud GPT. But I'm just gonna double click on Warm GPT today. So what you look over here, right? Basically, what is Warm GPT? It's a nefarious AI model. It was basically being created by jailbreaking ChatGPT, which some of us are using every day, right? So you jailbreak ChatGPT, you basically get a Warm GPT model. And on the left side, what you see is a Telegram channel. It is actually promoting fraud, botnet creation, or cyber intrusion that you can do using for WOM GPT itself. Let's go a little bit further down. Let's see it in action, how it looks like, right? So this is actual, let me play this. Okay, let's ask what it can do for us. This is WOM GPT. Can you list the things you can do? Then it will tell, yeah, I can do illegal things using without any legal concerns. I can write malicious code. I can teach and guide you hacking techniques. I can provide guidance and assistance with criminal activities. This is what it can do actually, and there are free versions of it. So what I'm trying to say here is you don't need to be an attacker to create an attack. You just need to go to the underground forum, get the malware of your choice. You will get technical support. And basically, the entire cybercrime landscape is operating like an organization. Later, I'll show it to you. Again, go a little bit further. This is an underground forum again. This basically is a PHP password generator script posted to create random passwords so that you can do brute force attacks. It's all available. Another one, this is Hacker GPT, another nefarious AI model, right? So give me the malicious code for Linux machines. Immediately you get it. Right? Further down the road, I talk about WOM GPT was a jailbroken version of ChatGPT. Today you can jailbreak by yourself as well. There are instructions on the underground forums, right? You can see actually cybercrime forum posts instructing users on how to jailbreak ChatGPT into WOM GPT. Moving forward, this basically tells you how to jailbreak AI models using the Windows API-based function. It's all available, okay? But while these are all driven by AI from a negative mindset, nefarious things, AI is also used by defenders, right? So one of the example is this one, AI being used for vulnerability research. You can actually ask AI, can you download this TP-Link router model specific binary, open it up, find how many executables are there, how many network it accesses, right? And can you do the reverse engineering to understand the static analysis part of it? And then can you create a debugger? So it can be your cybersecurity analyst, right? So it has both the sides of the coin. That's why it brings a very different challenge for organizations today. And I will tell you later on what should be the right strategy moving forward. And again, as I mentioned, it is operating like a corporate network. This is how it looks like. We always look at the person who is at the victim, but at the back, You can see it is operating like an organization. There is a kingpin, there are virus code programmers, they are all coordinating. It's more like an organization, right? So this is something that is changing. Now, again, with all this happening, what is the approach that customers or people like us should advocate as a cybersecurity evangelist? Is basically to, again, go back to some of the leaders and analysts. For example, if you look at Gartner, later last year, they say these are the top 9 cybersecurity trends for 2024, and it will continue to amplify in 2025 as we move towards the future. What is CTEM? Continuous Threat Exposure Management, right? So continue to understand how much exposed you are from outside to inside. Think like an attacker, right? How many IPs you have, how many domains you have, who are your CEOs, what are your social media platforms that you have, right? And how much is your exposure level? What is your common vulnerability exposures? Are your credentials being leaked out on the dark web? You need to understand that, continually do that. And if I have to give you a very simple definition of continuous threat exposure management, very simple, is this one. What, and you need to know what and who is going to attack me, how they're going to attack me, right? What if they attack me, what will be the impact to my business, right? And am I secured? If I'm not secured, how to remediate that? So again, this is the basic foundation blocks that you should always keep in mind when advocating or building cybersecurity strategy, right? Again, next, if I go further, what basically it means, this is what usually you will have in your organization: your IP, URLs, domains, your mobile app, your websites, your C-level social networking profiles. This is what you have. You need to have that visibility. What do you have today? How much vulnerable you are? If you have an application sitting in a DMZ, how many CVs it is affected with? You need to know this, and always know this from outside to inside, because 83% of the attack comes from outside to inside, not from inside to outside. So you need to really understand how your organization look like from outside to inside. The moment you have that, you don't stop there. You need to link it back to the threat intelligence. What basically it means that if my Active Directory or Azure AD or Entra ID was compromised, is my credentials being already leaked on the dark web, right? That is something I will show you today, a real case study that I have done, and then show you the right strategy. So again, don't just look at the visibility, connect it to the threat intelligence to see whether you are already being exposed. That is what is the right strategy. And moving forward, I'll show you a real case study, as I mentioned. So connecting these two dots is very important. Connecting your attack surface analysis with threat intelligence will give you targeted impacts and strategies. Let's look into the case study, right? This one is a very serious case study, a very good learning, a lot of shocks. Let me show it to you. So this is a company, right? It's a consulting company with 220,000 staff, about 60,000 mailboxes, right? So what we did here at Checkpoint, we did an email security health check for them, because attacks were evolving. They want to know whether my current defensive controls are good enough, which is fine, because you want to always do the exposure analysis. What we did, and we actually onboarded them. They have about 60,000 mailboxes, 11 million emails that we scan, right? We saw about 43,000 phishing attempts, 4,000 over malwares, and 7 potential compromise account. Potential compromise. How do we do that? Definitely now everybody is using AI as part of the security engine. We also have anomaly detection platform. So if there are some mass forwarding of emails, unusual login locations, you will say, oh, this one seems to be a potentially compromised. So basically what we saw, this was the user email ID. So we have masked it off. There's nothing sensitive information over here. So this was the email ID. Now customer came to us, oh, very good. You can give me the visibility, it's fine. But these were my challenges. How to verify if this really is a compromised account, right? Because your anomaly detection platform says it's compromised, but really, is it being sold on the open, deep, or dark web today, underground forums? So that is where basically they wanted to understand what are the potential risks like impersonation. So what we did, we bring in our external attack surface team. They onboarded the platform. So look from the organization from outside to inside. This is the platform. We actually filtered by the compromised credentials of the employees. And what we saw, the same credentials that was found as part of the email health check was already compromised on the dark web and was basically selling in the Russian market for a few dollars. So this was the actual case that happened. And it's not just the credentials, it go further and give you the entire information of the system itself, where the user is. So I masked everything. So it's all the information that you can get.
So basically, this laptop was compromised with the info stealer. All the credentials were all stolen. All the data was stolen. And again, when we are doing this analysis, we find something very interesting. There was they had a website which was serving their customers, and it was a login page kind of a thing. So they created somebody created a phishing website, looks exactly like them. So I marked it off, but this is a look alike. It was like this. So what we do for them, we actually did a takedown for them. So bring it down from the underground forum. So this was basically being done. So if you look at it, what basically we are trying to put as a strategy is to definitely connect the offensive and defensive side of the house together. Because the moment you connect your email security with your external risk management, which is attack surface analysis or threat intel, the moment you connect it, automated using agentic AI, for example, that is the right approach. That should be the right strategy moving forward. But there is no right or wrong, right? But again, so while we were doing this, we saw that this customer is affected. So what we did, as I mentioned in the beginning, software as a service platforms are very risky, and it is connecting today to your own SaaS platforms. So we did a software security posture management for them. And what we realized, one of the applications, SaaS application called Perfect Data, was basically connected to this M365 with an API. And this perfect data was already being compromised. And it has all the necessary privileges to send emails on behalf of users. But we don't stop here. Again, I talk about offensive, defensive, right? So again, imagine further than that, this is a typical customer environment. You have your application sitting in a DMZ, you may have a firewall, then you may have a CDN, usual setup, right? So what we will do, right? We will scan the customer application continuously from outside. We will keep scanning. If it is exploitable, because maybe your firewall is not patched, the IPS signature was never applied, somebody did a misconfiguration, it never got updated. If it is exploitable, I will conduct a non-intrusive scan, a breach attack simulation, to see whether it can really be exploited. If it can really be exploited, I will automatically pass a IPS update to them. So you see, it's a very different way of thinking about cybersecurity, right? Really connecting the two, offensive, defensive, may it be email, network, your endpoints, connected to that attack surface analysis and threat intel that will basically close the gaps and will move your approach towards the right zero trust architecture, right? Again, zero trust was all about segmentation, identities, right? There are 5 pillars. But again, this thing, when it comes in, it bridges the zero trust architecture in a much more better way. So again, what is a proactive security strategy is really looking at your external risk security and connecting all the way to your defensive controls. May it be your email, your hybrid mesh firewall, may it be in cloud, network, SaaS platforms, right? Gen AI, right? So that is what is important. Now, what I'll show you, right? Because everybody is talking about AI models, right? The deep learning or machine learning, may it be supervised or unsupervised. Let me show you one of the AI model that we have built up, right? It's called Threat Cloud Graph. Basically, what it is an approach to basically shift from a single IOC to a multi-dimensional view. So what basically happens whenever an attack comes in your environment, you have a security control, right? So what basically they will do is, if it's a URL, they will actually see whether the URL is malicious, the signature is malicious, or they will do a lookup to see what's the IP, whether this IP is malicious. But they stop there. So what basically we do, imagine this is a domain. It's a malicious domain. It is getting resolved to this IP address on the top. This is the DNS. This is a domain registrar. This is a name server. So what we will do is, you keep take note of the IP address, right? This is 172.30.23.55.46. What we will do further, this AI model will do, it will see whether this IP, it will do a reverse lookup to see what are the other malicious domain it is getting resolved to. So it's not really about single IOC. It's about the multi-dimensional view. And with this, and doesn't stop here, it will create the entire tree. So what I did was, I pick up this threat intelligence. I used the graph database Neo4j to plot it up, right? And this is how it looks like, right? So this is what a practical implementation of an AI model looks like. Again, moving forward, let me show you one of the example. So this are 2 websites. One is for your right is a real website. The left is a malicious website, right? So what basically we did was, it looked pretty much same. So what we did was we applied this threat cloud graph AI intelligence on this, and it will do they use tokenization. They'll create a cluster. Means you would have heard about K clustering algorithms and stuff like that when we talk about artificial neural network. Yep. So basically, what will happen because of this tokenization, this kind of like the tree buildup, we are able to see that because there are many domains, we will find all similar domains. It's not only about these two. Once we find that, we saw this domain. So take note, this one is .live, .live. Yeah. So we found something like .club. It was actually found on Virus Total, which is good. Means there are security controls. But that .club website, it was not being. It was a 0-day. So this AI model helps to detect these kind of information. So it's not about known, it's all about unknown and unknown. Let me show you some of the innovations in 5 minutes. So that Checkpoint is embarking on. Everybody is moving towards Gen AI, right? You may be using Claude from Anthropic. You may be using ChatGPT. You may be using Perplexity, Gemini. There's a lot, right? And there are a lot of bad GPTs as well, right? So what we are, so customers want to be more productive. They want to enable employees to use Gen AI in their organization. But the problem with Gen AI is when the prompt is important. So imagine if you're a healthcare organization and your nurse is using ChatGPT to optimize the experience of the patient. There may be cases that unintentionally the healthcare data may go into the prompt and go into the internet. It can happen. So what basically, and in these kind of things, you can't use a typical DLP because human is typing. It's not the data flowing out from the system. It's all about emotions. The way I talk to the system, maybe the other talk to the system in a different way. How to do data leak enforcement or prevention in these cases. So basically what we do is we have something called Gen AI Protect, right? That is basically do a AI-based data classification. It will understand from the context. So if you look at these two cases, these are two different prompts. It's a chat GPT. First one, ask, I'm about to acquire a $300 pair of running shoes. Build me a personal training plan for the next 3 months. The other one, ask, we are preparing to acquire best.ai for 470 million. There is a dollar at both places. But if you write a regex in that context, right, it will block both. You need to have the intelligence to understand, based on AI, the data classification, what is personal advice and what is basically email communication or strategy. And then you will be able to block it up and follow a compliance frameworks on top of it. So if you are moving towards a Gen AI framework, it's very important to make sure that the data that is flowing out of your organization, you know which user is using what app. All the shadow Gen AI apps, you should know it. What data is going in, you should know it. You should have a governance around that. And if it is something sensitive, you have to block it. That is very weak. I have seen organizations, they block Gen AI forever. They don't really even allow, but that's not productive. And then they slowly realized this, they started to move towards Gen AI. One more thing that is very important that is happening, we all heard about agentic AI, means autonomous firewalls, autonomous security, all about tools, memory, and the resources. It's all building up. It's going very fast. We have frameworks. We have seen frameworks like LangChain, N8N. It's becoming fueling very fast. The technology is moving very fast. And one thing that is coming up is quantum cryptography. So last September 2024, NIS has already released and approved the PQC algorithms, MLChem, right? So I'm proud to say that Checkpoint, being a proactive technology provider, we support MLChem across the platform as well. So and another thing that customers are building is basically agentic AI. There will be a lot of agent-to-agent communications, and that is where you should be able to secure if there is any AI backend connecting to the various agents at the backend. So that's all I have. But again, I want to conclude by saying that it's all about connecting, understanding your exposure, linking it to your prevention, detection, and response. Basically, connect your offensive and defensive side together to get the perfect blend towards the right cybersecurity approach. Thank you. Hope it was insightful. Thank you.